And as this fuels new speculation of a larger CIA cover-up, I am now joined by Gerald Posner, author of Case Closed, Lee Harvey Oswald and the Assassination of JFK. Gerald, appreciate you being here and taking the time tonight. And we see some claiming these new documents further tie the CIA to Lee Harvey Oswald. Do you agree with that?
You know, Natasha, I don't. And the interesting thing is, it's not just the, fringe conspiracy people, let's say on X, who are saying, by the way, these new documents tie the CIA into Oswald and possibly, therefore, into the assassination. It's the head of the committee, of the Oversight Committee you mentioned, Representative Luna. She believes that these documents reinforce her theory that Oswald was a patsy and that there were multiple shooters. In addition, it's been in Axios, and the Washington Post recently ran a story that said that it was proof that the CIA had in fact been monitoring or following Oswald before the assassination. And the unfortunate part of that is, as you well know, most people just read the headline. They get the summary and then they move on. They don't look at the actual documents that were released. I've been wanting these documents released on Joanides since 2003, when I signed a public letter with Norman Mailer and G. Robert Blakely and Jefferson Morley and other people seeking information on him to see whether, in fact, he did play any role in following Oswald or having a, quote, Operation Oswald. It turns out we've waited all this time. The CIA is to be damned for having held onto them for so long to try to protect its own bureaucratic reputation. But in the end, the documents really show nothing in terms, they don't mention Oswald, they don't have an operation, they don't show that Joanides, he's in the wrong city, he's in Miami, he's doing the Miami end of the anti-Castro Cubans, not doing it in New Orleans where Oswald is.
Wow. Okay. So this CIA officer, Joanides, was tapped to be the CIA's liaison with the House Select Committee on Assassinations in 1978. He never shared his undercover actions with anti-Castro groups. Does that at all prove the CIA has been withholding information from the beginning?
There's no question the CIA has been withholding information from the beginning. The tough part, and I condemn them, in a book I wrote in 1993 called Case Closed, I said there was always a cover-up by the CIA. They tried to cover up their own reputation, that they were trying to kill a head of state, not Kennedy, but Castro, together with the mafia, and they were protective of those Cold War secrets. It's disgraceful that they had Joanides as the liaison between the agency and the House Select Committee on Assassination. Joanides, as you said, didn't tell anyone, nor did the CIA. But people think immediately that must be the cover-up of an assassination plot to kill Kennedy. No, it's typically what the CIA does, which is try to protect itself. And this, I think, is something they've done far too long. They took 22 years, Natasha, after I first asked for these documents in a public forum to release them. Representative Luna is to be given credit for finally getting them in the public. But what is not being correct is that instead of being accurately looked at in terms of history and what they say, they're being given a spin to fit into old, what I call retreaded conspiracy theories that just aren't supported by what's now available.
So we know that the CIA was monitoring Oswald for years ahead of the assassination. In your mind, is that just normal surveillance, or is there anything deeper or more sinister there?
Well, I would have said that they should be prosecuted for, malfeasance and absolutely incompetence and negligence if they hadn't been looking at Oswald. He defected to the Soviet Union as a former Marine in 1959, and it was in the newspapers. So they did start a file at that time on him because he was a defector to the Soviet Union. Then he works his way back after he hates the Soviet Union, gets back to America in 1961, and at that point they opened what they call a 201 file on him, and that's basically a collection of news clippings and other things when he's appearing and doing things in the U.S. There's no active intelligence program on him. He does come back, though, Natasha, on their radar big time, just about 8 weeks before the assassination, 6 weeks before, when he goes to Mexico City and tries to get down to Cuba because he wants to join the real revolution. And the Soviets and the Cubans turn him away. At that point, he's on the CIA radar in a larger way.
Okay, I appreciate the context and the time. Gerald Posner, author of Case Closed, Lee Harvey Oswald and the Assassination of JFK. Thank you for joining us tonight.
Thanks, Natasha.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.